Correct. Graduated from IUA International University of Africa. So this is my new series of neuroanatomy. بدي فيديو كي بزاف nervous system باندي خبركم أو البتة يو series ده. As you know, as you see here, nervous system they're divided into two parts: central nervous system and peripheral nervous systems. Central nervous system के brain رتسي و spinal cord رتسي. أو peripheral nervous system के somatic nervous system के cranial nerve رتسي 12 pair of cranial nerve 31 pair of spinal nerve. هندرجة autonomic nervous system के رازي لك sympathetic و parasympathetic. That all peripheral nervous system دي. This is also division of the central nervous systems. You see central nervous systems is peripheral, brain and spinal cord, somatic and autonomic. Sympathetic or parasympathetic. Sympathetic or parasympathetic أغاكي موقع تري blood vessels كي smooth muscles, artery veins كي. It's a major division of the central and peripheral nervous systems. You see, this is a brain. In a brain, this is a brain. Also, it's called forebrain. You have forebrain. In forebrain, you have cerebrum. This is cerebrum. And between the cerebrum and midbrain, you have diencephalon. In diencephalon, you have here, it's between them, you have thalamus, subthalamus, metathalamus, and epithalamus. So, cerebral hemisphere, this is a hemisphere, it's right and left hemisphere. This is a diencephalon, as I mentioned. Diencephalon, you have 5 structure: midbrain, hindbrain. Hindbrain, you have pons, medulla oblongata, and also cerebellum. It's also a part of the hindbrain. Okay. Spinal cord. This is all segment for spinal cord. The cervical, the thoracic, lumbar, sacral, and coccygeal. Cranial nerve, 12 pair of cranial nerve we have. Spinal nerve, 31 pair of spinal nerve we have. As you see here, this corpus callosum, this is white matter. brain के यानी cerebrum के gray matter peripheral موقعات لري، لكن white matter it's located inside داخل के موقعات لري. هم درجة ده thalamus ده thalamus to loop لري right or left، لكن thalamus is gray matter. Don't forget. Here we have hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is formed by infundibula, mammillary body. This is pituitary gland. This is the midbrain. This is the pons. This is medulla oblongata. This is cerebellum. Between the cerebellum, pons, and medulla oblongata, you have 4 ventricle. Which CSF is formed here. That's the CSF jodi. That's the third cerebellar conducta, or that's the third ventricle. That's the third ventricle, the lateral ventricle. بس تصويري رازي بدي diagram के तास तखाई चे cerebrum के peripheral gray matter دا أو white matter चे दागा inside دا हम درجة بواسط के diencephalon के gray matter شتا لك basal ganglia gray matter دا thalamus gray matter دا cerebral hemisphere. This is cerebral hemisphere. This is right to left cerebral hemisphere. We have cortex gray matter, cerebral white matter, basal ganglia, and this is also a gray matter. Lateral ventricle, yes, this is lateral ventricle here. So you see here, this is a basal ganglia. This is a basal chordate nucleus. This is lentiform nucleus, chordate nucleus, putamen nucleus. This is a basal ganglia, and between them, this fiber, this is a commissure fiber. All fiber is passing here, and here also, so fiber passing here. So this is the thalamus. This is thalamus, two-loop thalamus. This is the third ventricle. Third ventricle, 3 hornally or bodily. The commissure, the white matter. The white commissure, this is a white matter. Corpus callosum, it's attaching two hemispheres to each other. يضرب ما بين كده ده دو هيمسفير ما بين كده فيشر ده برنامج اللونجيتودينال فيشر برنامج ديجي ده third ventricle ده غينا لاندي fourth ventricle ده ظاهرنا ده. طيب let's go on. So cerebral cortex وظيفتها ده conscious أو ده كم sensation, voluntary movement, communicating, remembering, memory, understanding. All this thing is controlled by cerebral cortex. So we have gyrus and we have sulcus. Sulcus, this is sulcus. This is called central sulcus. This is lateral sulcus. This is parieto-occipital sulcus. Sulcus is nothing but is depression in the cerebrum, while the gyrus is protrusion. This is the gyrus. This is called precentral gyrus. This motor area is located here, area number 4 and area number 6. Paramara tracheus originated from here. How that is the post-central sulcus, the post-central sulcus, the parietal lobe كما وقعت لي أو the frontal lobe كما وقعت لي. Precentral sulcus, frontal lobe كي يعني central sulcus dividing the parietal lobe from the frontal lobe, while the lateral sulcus dividing frontal and parietal lobe from the temporal lobe. Parieto-occipital sulcus dividing the parietal lobe and temporal lobe from occipital lobe. This is occipital lobe. The central sulcus, yeah, already we mentioned sulcus and gyrus. The cortex. Deeper sulci divide the cerebrum into lobes. Lobe are named for the skull bone overlying them. The central sulcus separates frontal and parietal lobe by 2 gyrus, precentral gyrus and postcentral gyrus, already mentioned. This is a precentral gyrus. This is a precentral gyrus and postcentral gyrus. Okay, let's go. Parieto-occipital sulcus separate the occipital from the parietal lobe. Yeah. The lateral sulcus separating the temporal lobe from the parietal lobe and frontal lobe. Yes. The insula deep in the lateral sulcus. Insula لا موقعت لري. بدي قسمت كده insula موقعت لري. The lateral sulcus deep on the lateral sulcus لكن the port of the temporal lobe. تمام. So yeah, the frontal lobe show parietal lobe show temporal occipital بس دمرة. ده سنجليد gyrus ده سنجليد gyrus ده. تيجي كم دمرة كافي ده. longitudinal fissure ده جورا precentral gyrus شا ده postcentral gyrus شا أو ده central fissure و central sulcus شا. ده lateral fissure or lateral sulcus ده superior temporal gyrus ده غلطة ده inferior temporal gyrus أو middle أو delta superior temporal sulcus أو inferior temporal sulcus. لك أهم شنان ده غلطة جورا ده superior frontal gyrus ده superior frontal gyrus ده أو لوندي تري superior frontal sulcus شا هم ده كم inferior frontal sulcus ده أو inferior frontal gyrus هم ده غلطة ده sulcus و gyrus موقعت لري سيدا. The lobes. The frontal lobe extend from the central sulcus to the central limit of the brain. They contain primary motor cortex.
يوم خميس ولا جمعة؟
The primary اليوم الخميس. The primary lobe between the occipital lobe and the central sulcus contain the primary somatosensory cortex. The occipital lobe posterior end of the cortex containing primary visual cortex. The area موقعت لي مثلا جورا لك سنجم متشوي frontal lobe كي motor area ده area 4 area 6 أو parietal lobe كي area 1 2 and 3 موقعت لي أو همشلون بالtemporal lobe كي area number 22 and 41 and 42 ده طول area موقعت لي. ال 41 42 ده primary auditory area ده. hearing أو 22 همشلون auditory cortex and speech area ده 22 auditory cortex and speech area ده. occipital lobe كي همشلون دار كم نونس أو ثلث area موقعت لي هم دار كم ولس area موقعت لي occipital lobe كي وده area ديري موقعت لي أو هم دار كم parietal lobe كي 5 and 7 موقعت لي. so ده بلكتشر كي بدي باندي خبركم بس المهم وزدنا بوش شيء. The lobes ده موي the diencephalon بين the cerebrum and midbrain midbrain كي موقعت لي diencephalon لك تسنجم متشوي thalamus ده hypothalamus ده pituitary epithalamus أو همشنا subthalamus ده بينزل structure طول diencephalon كي موقعت لي ده طول ده أطراف الثird vertical سر موقعت لي ده gray matter ده لك تسنجا diencephalon is a gray matter darangam the basal ganglia hamshana gray matter. Brainstem برينستم ميد برين ده وبونس ده ميدولا بلونجاتا ده. Delta تقريبا last cranial nerve tool emerge key from the midbrain. Only two cranial not emerging from midbrain, from brainstem, and they have its own pathway. So let me mention here. Yes. Okay. This is the spinal cord. You see, and this is the midbrain. This is the midbrain. This is the pons. This is the medulla oblongata. So two cranial nerve emerging from the midbrain, four cranial nerve from the pons, and four cranial nerve from the medulla oblongata. Two cranial nerve which they are oculomotor and trochlear. Trochlear from the back of the midbrain, and from pons we have cranial number 5, trigeminal, abducent, facial, and vestibulocochlear, glossopharyngeal, and vagus, accessory, and hypoglossal from the medulla oblongata. If you see here in this picture, it's very clear. This is the optic nerve. This is the optic chiasma. This optic nerve. This is oculomotor nerve from midbrain. Trochlear nerve from midbrain, posterior part of the midbrain. 5, 6, 7, 8 from the pons. This is a pons to medullary junction, where the three nerve emerging from here. And then this is a medulla oblongata. From medulla oblongata we have facial, and vestibulocochlear, accessory, and hypoglossal. This is a hypoglossal nerve, hypoglossal nerve emerging from here. So we have a special lecture on this cranial nerve. Cranial nerve number 1, which is for smelling, number 2 for vision, oculomotor nerve, and trochlear and abducent for the eye movement. They supply different muscles. Trigeminal, they have 3 ports. We have ophthalmic for eye, maxillary for maxilla, mandible for mastication muscles, and facial for facial expression, facial muscles. Vestibulocochlear have 2 ports. We have vestibular port and we have cochlear port. So vestibular for equilibrium, directly connected with the cerebellum, connection lady, direct connection. Cochlear for hearing. Glossopharyngeal, tongue muscle supply ki pharynx. Vagus for parasympathetic. Then come accessory muscle of the neck, hypoglossal for tongue. So this is a cerebellum. Cerebellum also is called a small brain. This is a small brain located in posterior of the brain, or posterior of the brainstem, and according to anatomy, it's divided by inferior lobe and middle lobe and posterior lobe, and according to physiology also dividing into 2 lobes. We have archocerebellum, new cerebellum. So we will discuss this later. It's now just you need to know we have cerebellum on posterior cranial fossa, on posterior of the hindbrain, which is here. So we have ventricle. We have 4 ventricle, 2 lateral ventricle, 1 third ventricle, and we have 4th ventricle. They are all connected to each other. They have choroidal plexus and CSF WDB. That the lateral ventricle, that the third ventricle, or that the 4th ventricle, the cerebral aqueducta, connection between the third ventricle and 4th ventricle. التصوير واضح له. I think it's clear for spinal cord. Spinal cord ده adult के per L1 أو L2 के ختمية. हम درنگا per intrauterine life के while spinal column नहीं वाला इधर tool. हम per birth के L3 तरसी के. يعني مختلف ده per different stage of the stage of the children. So the spinal cord, ده cervical ده أو thoracic shaft أو هم دارو lumbar, sacral أو coccygeal. Spinal cord, yes, this is spinal cord. The conus medullaris is inferior end of the spinal cord. Conus medullaris inferior end of the spinal cord. Filum terminal. The filum terminal pia mater is elongation of the pia mater. It's elongation of the pia mater attached to the coccyx. Coccyx attached to cervical lumbar. That the cervical cervical enlargement to the lumbar enlargement is nerve. emerge كيجي. Cauda equina, it's a collection of the nerve roots, just like horsetail. Horsetail, تركم يو horsetail يري that whole connection دي nerve root spinal cord के spinal cord protect شوية أول bone bond ده vertebral column or bone bond ده one but cerebrospinal fluid also it's doing its function just like a protection for spinal cord أو هندرنجا meninges أول من piamatar ده piamatar or econide mata or dura mata that all protect kiwi spinal cord لكن بالspinal cord it's عكس the cerebrum ده brain عكس the cerebrum ده recording of gray matter and white matter the spinal cord की gray matter inside موقعات لدي that all gray matter ده posterior horn ده lateral horn ده inferior horn ده gray matter ده white matter this is a white matter so it's opposite of the cerebrum. I think it's enough to know this only this thing. This is the pia matter. You see, this is the pia matter, and this is the arachnoid matter, and this is the dura matter. The dura is tough matter, you see. So this is the pier of the spinal nerve. This is the pier of the spinal nerve on the both sides. You see, this is the dorsal ganglia, and this is the motor root. This is the sensory root deforming spinal nerve, which is mixture of the sensory, motor, and autonomic, sympathetic and parasympathetic. So you see here, yeah, this is very clear. This dorsal root ganglia, and this is for sensory, this is for motor, and this is the spinal nerve, which is mixture of the mixture, the mixed nerve, the autonomic, sympathetic or parasympathetic, hamdaranga sensory or motor. Diagram of the cross section through the spinal nerve, the dorsal root of root on each side convey sensory information to the spinal cord. The ventral root convey motor commands to the muscles. Thank you so much for watching. Please share and subscribe. Don't forget. See you in next lecture.